For the most part, I trust him to make sure he's making healthy decisions that won't impact him for the rest of his life. He did have a scare earlier in the year, but he took. I'm not a health nut. I don't. What do I want to say? I'm not health knowledgeable like he is, so I don't know the ins and outs of everything. But I do trust that he's at least being conscious of his health. I know that what he's doing does have an impact on his health in the long run, regardless of how meticulous or cautious he is about things.
And at the end of the day, that's why you have to come to the conclusion that you're doing this for yourself. Forget the fucking pro status, forget anything else. You're doing it for yourself. It's the last 4 weeks that get shitty. So the last 4 weeks are typically the time that you're pulling your body to a place it's never been before. So my last competition, I would say realistically, I was probably around somewhere between 4 and 5% body fat at the end of the process. It was all said and done. Realistically, the goal is to be leaner than that with more muscle tissue this time. So the key is, if you've got more muscle tissue and you're leaner, it means you're gonna be hungrier and you're gonna probably feel like shit. Your joints are gonna feel like shit and your body's gonna feel pretty beat up at that point in time. And when you get your body fat down to a certain level, it really starts to play with your mind. So everybody else will see at 4 weeks out, let's say 4 weeks out from the show, everybody else will see, dude, you look crazy, you look nuts, you look insane. The only thing that's going in my head is, I've got fat here, I've got fat here, I've got fat here. I'm not where I need to be. I'm always about pushing a little bit further, a little bit harder.
Yeah.
And sometimes almost too much, which is why I have somebody to pull me back.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's just more of I'm more motivated now.
With most athletes, though, it's not usually typical, though, like where they'll overdo things. With him, like, he'll go above and beyond to the point where it could negatively impact his body. That's when, step in and either be like, you need an extra like rest days where we need to pull cardio back, add in extra like refeeds, because he'll just go. But in bodybuilding, it's not all about that. It's about how you look. Like, for a while, like the way we were brought up in bodybuilding, it was always thought, you suffer, which yes, you do to get in that type of shape, but there's a limit to doing that, to where it's going to negatively impact you. But this show was such valuable information for us, like you have no idea, and it's gonna be great. I'm really, really excited for it. I'll be honest with you, a coach is only as good as their clients are. You could have the most educated guy, the best coach in the world, but if you don't have the athletes, the foot soldiers that are doing the work, your knowledge don't mean shit. So I'm more blessed to have someone like him, which I'll tell you, he's a dying breed. There is not blue-collar athletes left like him. Most people are doing it for the Insta-famous and the social. He doesn't care about that. He goes out there every day to push his body to the max because he wants to take it to the next level. And it makes my job a lot easier because everything just falls into place then.
He knows how I feel about certain aspects of the sport. We've talked about a timeline and an age limit already. We talked about that up front when we first got together, because I told him I wasn't going to be doing this forever. And once our kids got to a certain age, I didn't want them having to deal with it. We talked about how looking the way he does, that his friends or his kids' friends are going to have questions, and they have to be able to answer those. And what does he want that answer to be, and that sort of thing. So I trust him to make somewhat good decisions, I guess.
You need to understand that it's your health, it's your body, and you need to take responsibility for what you're doing, and you need to understand what you're putting in your body. And a lot of the times what I'm seeing, especially with a lot of the younger guys that are coming up, is they have no idea. They're reading it on a forum, their buddies telling them about it. They met a guy at the gym that ends up selling it to them, whatever it might be. And these guys are doing shit that I know pros aren't even touching as far as the amounts of anabolics they're putting into their systems. And that is the thing that gives anabolics a bad name. That is the reason why anabolics aren't actually talked about. But if we really want to get down to it, our entire nation right now has anabolics as one of the main things that most men are on, which is TRT. You're on an anabolic steroid. If you're on testosterone, you're on an anabolic steroid. So the way you got to look at it is a bodybuilder is literally just taking what you would be on for TRT times about 3 a week. That's literally the difference. So we're making ourselves to a point where we're so outer limits of as far as testosterone or whatever other supplement is in your system that you do look superhuman because of it. And you do have superhuman recovery, and you do have a little bit obviously better strength, and your joints are a little bit better, and all of that stuff gets amplified because of the anabolics you're taking. Again, the thing that needs to be understood is that the majority of us that are especially national level high people, we all have doctors looking after us. We all are getting our blood work every 3 months. We're all checking to make sure that our bodies are actually functioning the correct way. And that's one thing that I think people don't take into consideration most times, is they just start throwing drugs into their body. They don't know what they do. They think that they'll do all the work for them. And then they don't get a status check on their body to know what's going on with their body. And you can cause damage that will literally take years off your life because of that. There's a smart and a dumb way to do this. And very, very often I've seen it to be where people just don't want to educate themselves and be smart about how they're doing this with their body. Because again, like we've talked about before, bodybuilding is an unhealthy, to get to extremely low levels of body fat is unhealthy, no matter how you look at it. You tack anabolics onto it, it does make it even more unhealthy. So we have to be real about that. And if we're real about that, then we also need to understand that we need to be taking the preventative measures, and we need to be actually measuring what's going on with your body to know how much damage you're doing, to know how to repair what you're doing, so you don't take 20 fucking years off your life.